Hi again, everybody. It's Rodney, and I'm here with Andrea again, who's turned into a little boy named Luke. Actually, this is my son Luke, of course. He's going to fill in for Andrea today because she had to be away, and we didn't want to make you guys wait for the next video. It's okay, though. Luke's an excellent gamer. What are some of the games you like to play, Luke?
Wrath of Chardon.
Wrath of a Chardon, yeah.
Memoir 44, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, lots more.
Yeah, lots of other games. Listen, gamers, if you're a lonely gamer, if you're having trouble finding gamer friends, here's a tip. Have a kid, because they're excellent gamers, especially if you start them young. Luke's been playing games since you were really little. And aim above their heads. Ignore the age limits on boxes, because Luke's been playing games.
That's like 8, 10. One of them, that's like 13.
Yeah. The age limits on boxes are very misleading. Luke's 7. He's able to play and beat me easily at Magic the Gathering and lots of other games that have intricate little rules. And he would have no problem following along in a game like this, but honestly, this is not a game I would normally play with a kid this age because of the theme and some of it. So when I'm reading some of the cards, I may modify the wording slightly to be more suitable for Luke, but I certainly appreciate having him here to help out. So first of all, a tradition, Luke, that we do here in this playthrough is I always start by admitting mistakes and errors that we've made in the previous video. And so we do have one, unfortunately. This is a weird one. At the beginning of the last video, Michael had started, I believe,
You said
here.
That's what
yes.
you said.
But he shouldn't have been. He was actually supposed to be here. And I don't know if somehow the haunted house magically teleported him, or perhaps a little minion might have moved him when I wasn't looking. But anyway, so that kind of changed up where he ended up at the end of the last video. Thankfully, it didn't affect any gameplay because there was no monsters to attack or anything like that. So we're going to put him where he should have ended at the end of the last turn, which is he would have started here, and then he would have moved once, twice, and 3 times to end up in the secret passage. So beginning at this turn, Michael is where he belongs in the secret passage, and we're going to go from there. Oh, and also, you'll remember last turn, Kate met an unfortunate end. So Andrea's character, well, Luke will be playing today, is going to be joining us in the game, and we'll introduce that investigator at the very end. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start with Harvey, who's currently in the secret passage. He's going to move through the secret passage, 1 space, and then into the cave, where he finds a cultist. So he's going to have to do a horror check. He's going to have to roll a 7 or less.
2.
A 2. So he's not horrified by this cultist. No surprise for brave Harvey. Now he wants to move into the chasm. So he's going to have to evade this cultist. So he's going to have to do a dexterity test, -1 because of the cultist. So it's going to have to be a 2 or less. Tricky roll. And you got a 2. Very good job. All right, so Harvey is going to move into the chasm. Harvey has successfully made it into the chasm because he's using the magic phrase to remove the lock. And this will allow Harvey or anyone else who gets into this room next turn to be able to use an action to explore and reveal these cards. Now, you remember those robes that Michael was wearing. Well, unfortunately, the cultist who had been wearing them was about 4 or 5 sizes larger than Michael, so they never quite fit him right, and as he tried to move, they tangled him up and he fell over. So Michael's going to be just staying still for this turn. Alright, so now it's Gloria's turn. She's going to move 1 space, and then a 2nd space into the secret passage, and as she moves in, she calls out, "Who else needs a drink?" Sorry, my female voices aren't very good. So she's going to drink her Saturnian wine, which was an equipment card that she picked up earlier. And so by discarding that card, she's going to get to remove 1 damage and 1 horror from her character. And she's now noticed that Michael is tangled up in these robes, and we're going to resolve that during the keeper phase. So hang around for that. So this is Jenny Barnes. This is the investigator that Andrea chose to replace Kate. You'll remember in the last video I explained that if a player loses an investigator and the objective for the game has not been revealed yet, then that player can bring in a new investigator. However, if the objective has been revealed, then that player is eliminated from the game. So the players are fortunate. Andrea gets to bring in a new character, and the character she's chosen is Jenny Barnes. And I thought it might be kind of fun if we could find a thematic way to tie in why this character is entering the mansion. Well, as it turns out, each character has a little personal history on the backs of their cards, and it actually ties in really well with this mission. Because Jenny, it says, is motivated by letters she was receiving from her sister that had revealed that the sister was investigating some mysterious forces that were aligning against her, and eventually her sister met an unfortunate end, and this sort of motivated Jenny to investigate into the dark arts herself, and it turned out she was quite a good fighter herself, and I thought that since these investigators started their entire mission based on letters they were receiving from someone, that we could assume that perhaps those letters were originally being received by Jenny herself, from her sister, who was warning her sister about this cult that had been forming in the mansion. And so Jenny, not feeling quite brave enough yet, had hired these investigators to go into the mansion and try to solve the mystery for her. So Jenny had watched as the investigators had gone into the mansion and waited outside in the running car, and eventually realized this is not what her sister would have wanted. Jenny sitting on the sidelines, not involved. So Jenny gathered up her pistols and decided to head into the mansion to join the other investigators and try to resolve what happened to her sister. So Jenny, as you see, has some different stats compared to the other players. She has a health of 10, a sanity of 10, and then 2 skill points here. She also starts the game with 45 automatics, which allow her to attack a monster within 2 range. And if the monster is within 1 range, she has a better chance of hitting them, so she gets a +2 to her marksmanship. And these weapons do a total damage of 3. She also has a special ability called Unwavering Determination. Once per game, when making a horror test, you may automatically pass and then move up to 2 spaces. So let's get started with this new character. Alright, so Jenny's going to start by moving 1 space, and then a 2nd space. And now none of the investigators yet have explored down this ladder, and it doesn't say in the instructions that I have to indicate where this ladder leads. So I've never told Andrea or any of the other players, but Luke's quite curious about what might be down there, so he's going to send Jenny down the ladder. Now the location that a ladder takes you to, you treat as an adjacent location. So basically, Jenny's using this as her 3rd action to move, and she's going to be moved directly to the chasm, is where this leads. And so Jenny ends up in the chasm with Harvey. So it's the keeper turn, but before I put the camera back on myself, we're actually going to use the investigator trading step, and that's why I came up with this goofy little scenario where Michael got twisted up in the robes. For Michael's turn, he was actually going to pass and stay in place. So Michael's completely frustrated with the robes. He finally untangles himself from them, and thankfully Gloria's there, and she fits the robes perfectly. So she's going to take those robes, and Michael now, whose gun is out of ammunition, is going to chuck his gun aside, and Gloria is going to hand him her axe. So Michael now has a weapon, and Gloria is now in the fashionable cult robes. Alright, so we're back. I'm going to continue my keeper phase. I'm going to collect 3 threat. And I'm going to spend 1 to move this cultist 2 spaces. 1, 2. I'm going to spend another threat to move his partner here 2 spaces. 1, 2. And I'm going to spend the last threat to move this cultist 2 spaces. 1, 2. So cultists are on the loose in the house. What are they up to? Who knows? Oh, and I also have to add an event token here to the event deck. That means there's now 3 tokens on the event deck, and once the 4th one is placed at the end of the next turn, then we'll be revealing that card. And important notice, we're going to be taking a short break from these videos for about 3 to 4 days. So if you're a subscriber and you're enjoying the story and want to see how it turns out, don't worry, we haven't quit or abandoned it. We're just going to need a few days off before we resume again. So keep an eye out for us. Later.